Hey, this is Ralph, and in this video I'm going to keep working on our CIS 178 webpage assignment. So this week we're just dipping our toes into the web publishing, web development waters, and just wanted to see what it's like to make a web page. I'm hoping you're digging it, and maybe you'll consider taking a 10-week web development course. What we left off with was basically this, and there's my page. Let me zoom out on this so we can get a better feel for it. So I'm going off this directions, these mock-up, and I think we've got all the key layout parts here. So in theory, you were following along with me in the previous video so that we could make a web page that looks kind of like this one, and I think that's where we're at. We've got all of those key parts on there, but I want to add to it. And I want to add images next. I think images are pretty cool. So what I need to do is I want to have an image that's going to go right here in this green block, my hero section, header image. And then I want some images to go down here in these little 4 gallery parts down there. So I need an image up here at the top and then 4 images down here. It doesn't really matter what we work with. I just want you to be able to get an image onto a web page. So in a minute, I might pause my screen, pause my recorder while I hunt around for some images. But where I'm going to go, there's a number of good places to get images, but I'm going to head over to unsplash.com, which is a pretty nice place to get some stock photos for making web page layouts and things like that. There's a ton of photos on here. Now I'm going to browse through in just a bit, and I'm going to get some photos, probably some kind of nature photos. However, I am going to try to get images that are a landscape orientation as opposed to a portrait orientation. Since I know the spaces where I want to put images are wider than they are taller, I think a wider image will look better. It'll be easier to fit in there for sure. Same thing for these little images down here, even though they're pretty square shaped. Don't forget, here's mine. So I've got the big wide one there, and then they've got these 4 little ones down here. So when I browse through images, some of these images, as great looking as they are, I don't think they're going to be a good fit for our mock-up. Here's an image that is complete, that is very vertical in structure, although we could just show a portion of it. So it's not a deal breaker. I'm just trying to make our lives a little bit easier, and I'll try to find some that are landscape orientation, although the more I look at this one, I'm kind of digging it. And there is a way we can pull this off, of course. We can just show this middle portion of the image. So it's like I said, it can be made to work. All right, let me look. So here's a good picture. Here's a landscape picture. So that would be good for any of those spaces. So yeah, there's another landscape picture over here. So yeah, I'm just going to hunt around and find some pictures. Now, when I find a picture that I want, okay, say I want this picture of the woman looking through the window here. Say I want to get this picture. I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and that's going to give me the focused in picture. And then up in the top right corner, I see this download. I'm going to click this little drop down for the download. And I think for our purposes, to make things a little bit simpler, I'm going to choose the small version. I'm not worried about these file sizes or the dimensional sizes up there. I'm going to get small. It's just going to give us a smaller file size because we're not going to be doing any image editing in this class. And yeah, that'll be easier. And plus, you're going to be sending your work to me via Blackboard, so the smaller file sizes will be more efficient there. I'm going to download that small one. Now, where I download it is pretty important. I want to download this into my folder that I'm working on for this assignment. So at the beginning of the last video, I made a folder called CIS 178 ASN 5 or Assignment 5. Everything I do is in that folder. And this file name is really long, so I'm just going to change it to Photo 1. Now, I'm not changing the extension. I'm going to leave it as a JPG. Pretty much all these pictures at Unsplash will be JPG images. And I'm saving it into my assignment folder, and I'm just giving it the file name Photo 1. I'm going to hit Save. So what does that really mean now? Well, here is the view of that folder. So I can see there's my photo1.jpg. There's my web page that I'm working on, my .html. Now, looks like I've got this temporary download file. And I'm just going to delete that. That may have been put, oh, I wonder if it's because I'm in a download process. I think that'll go away in just a minute. And not quite sure what that is, but if that's still later on, I will get rid of it. So let me close that. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. And then to close this view, there's a little X over here in the top left corner, and then I can look around for some more landscape photos, so a couple cooking and stuff like that. So let me pause my recorder, and I'm going to go ahead and grab 3 other photos that I can use on this web page. Okay, I'm back. So I got 4 photos, and I did get a portrait oriented photo just so I could show you how to just show part of that. So I'll probably just use like the top third or something like that of that particular photo, but that's okay. So I've got my photos, and that temporary download file is not there anymore. And yeah, so all JPGs, all pretty simple file names, but the key thing is all 4 of my images are saved in the same location where I'm working. There's my HTML file, and I've got my 4 pictures right there. Some of you in class might be using a separate CSS file for your styling. Perfectly fine. So you would probably also have a CSS file in there. Cool, so let's minimize that. I don't need this anymore. Let's put in some images. So let's see, back over on the code editor, the first one I'm going to play around with is the Hero 1. That's it. That's what I want to play around with, the Hero 1. So that's ID Hero 1. Now earlier up in my style section, I already have a place for it right up here. It's got that yellow-green background color. Well, I'm going to change that background color. And I'm going to put a background image on. Now, when you put a background image on, it's going to cover up the background color. So it's okay that I keep the background color there because I'm going to be putting this picture on top of that color. Background image, URL, parentheses, and then I have to put in the name of my image, and I'll just pick on photo1.jpg. A lot of places will put this in quotes, so I'll do that. Okay, let's see what that does. Over to my page, refresh, and there it is. So what's happening here is my image is tiling, or it's repeating over and over to try to fill the space. So that's what's going on there, and that's not what I want to have happen. So now, part of the reason that is happening, by the way, is because I downloaded a small version of the photo, but that's okay. I wanted the small version. So in addition to putting in the background image, I'm also going to do this. Background size cover. That's going to allow one background image to fill up that space. So now the image is stretched out to fill up the space. However, I'm not really seeing very much of it here. So I'm only seeing, I guess, top left corner or something like that. So let's see what else I can do. Background position, center. Oh, there we go. So now I can see the woman's head in there. Now, it's still, I probably didn't get a great photo just because the subject is just a small portion of this particular image. So what I think I can do is I can go to my hero and I can make it a little bit taller. So what if this was 420 pixels tall? And I start to see a little bit more of that. I could also maybe push the image up. Right now I'm looking at the middle of the picture. So I could try pushing the picture up. So instead of background position center, bear with me on this, but I'm going to do top space center. I think that'll work. We'll find out. Oops, okay, that shows me the top. Let's try bottom space center. So now I can see the woman, and I don't see that lamp up there at all. So that's what I'll do. So I got these 2 numbers, or these 2 words on here, by the way. Basically, the background position is, let's see, this is going to actually, I think, the way I've got it here could be a little bit off. Center, bottom. It looks the same, but this is the better way to write it, okay? The first word represents the X, or the horizontal movement of that picture, and the second one is the Y, or the up and down. And even though that previous one was working, I'm kind of surprised it was. This one is the better way to go. So horizontally, I'm looking at the middle of the picture. However, because I did background size cover, that's not really having much impact. But for the up and down movement, I'm looking at the bottom portion of the picture. So that's why I've got it written that way. Okay, otherwise, yeah, I'm pretty content with that. So now I'm going to do something similar. In fact, I'm going to copy. Nah, I don't want to copy. I'll just retype them. I'm going to go down to these 4 boxes. Background image, URL, photo2.jpg, background size cover, background position, center. Now when I write the word center once, that means the same as center center. Center horizontal and center vertical. So I can have the word center in there twice. Cool, let's see how that looks with my photo 2. This should be the first of my 4 boxes that are side by side. And there it is, a little picture of the baby. Cool, now I think I will do a little copying and paste. So I'm going to copy that, paste, paste, and paste. And then I can change out these images. Oh, actually, how many images? Oh, I think I need another image. So let's make sure I've got plenty. I'll do 3, and then I'll do 4. And I don't have a photo 5, so I'll just do photo 1 again. Okay. So things are looking pretty good. I'm actually happy with most of these pictures. However, for the guy that's holding the video camera, I want to shift that position a little, that image down a little bit. So I think instead of showing, let's see, I think that's 4. I'm going to try, let's try top there, center top. Nah, it's not quite, that's too much. Top is too much, and center is too much, which definitely means bottom is going to be too much. So if those 3 aren't working well for me, I have to do something else other than a word, and that's where I can actually use percentages. What if I did 50%? 50% is the same as center, so that would be the middle of the image. What if I dial this down to 30%? There we go. So now I can start to see the person's face better, and I can see that they're holding a camera a little bit more easily. And I could have gone the other way too. So I could have tried 80%, and that would have shifted. So I'm seeing more of the lower part there. So I'm going to go back to 30%. I'm pretty satisfied with that. So don't forget, this first word center, that's the horizontal movement. And then the second value is the up and down movement. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So that takes care of putting those images in. I'm satisfied with that. Now, a couple other things I want to do based on this plan, and I think this is probably where we'll finish off, is I want to have a fake navigation menu up here. So you can see there's 4 items. I know they're tough to read. Home, products, company, and contact. Cool. So that's going to go in our navigation area. Oops, that's going to be in the HTML-y part. And I'm going to put in 4 hyperlinks. href equals, and I'll just hyperlink to a hashtag. That's fine. It makes a dummy hyperlink. I've already forgotten what they are. Home, products, company, contact. Home. Products. Company. And contact. And there's a 5th one all the way off to the side. Looks like they got a little Facebook logo over there. So I will do that as well. And I'll just put in FB for now to represent Facebook, and I'll change that out to a Facebook logo in just a moment. Okay, so I've got 5 hyperlinks in my little div navigation area. So what I'm going to do next is style them so that they look kind of like this. Now in this mock-up, they're probably indicating that there was a drop-down menu. We're not worried about that. So I just need to get my 4 hyperlinks side by side, and that 5th one is going to be all the way over there. There is a way to do that. All right, well, let's see how our page is looking. Well, you can't see them, but I do have these blue hyperlinks right up here. I've got all 5 of them. You just can't see them because I have that blue background. So I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to go to my styling. I'm going to head over to my navigation and make it a little bit darker. How can I make this hex code darker? If I get these numbers closer to 0, they're going to get darker. So instead of 349, what if I did 249? 2 of those numbers are closer to 0. That made it a little bit darker. What if instead of 249, I did 139? That's going to make it darker. So if I head back over here and refresh, that's a darker shade of blue. If I dial this 9 a little darker, it will get darker, and it's going to lose some of the blue. It's going to get closer to gray. So for instance, if I did 136, it's a really dark blue getting into a gray. And if I did something like 133, now it's going to look really dark gray. Almost seems to have a greenish tint to it. So I'm going to bring this back up to 137. Dark blue, but still, I need those hyperlinks to stand out. So I'm going to style them. In fact, I'll style them right in here. Navigation space A. I'm going to style the hyperlinks, the anchor tags that are within my navigation area. Definitely so that we can see them. Color bright white. That alone is going to make them pop a little bit better so I can actually see them up there. Let's go ahead and do this too. Font size 24 points. That seems pretty big. Let's see what that looks like. Actually, I'm okay with that. Probably a little bit overwhelming though, I think. Let's dial that back to 16 points. Text decoration none. That's going to get rid of the underline on those hyperlinks. Okay. Push this back up to 20. Things are looking pretty good. I want to get these words spaced farther apart. You know, there's nice spaces in between those, so let's do that. Padding. Yeah, I'll do padding on all 4 sides. I'm going to do padding. Let's do 8 pixels top and bottom. 24 pixels left and right. Let's see how that looks. Not bad. Now, the padding for the top and bottom isn't really doing what I would have hoped. So I'm not worried about that. I'm going to actually, I'll leave it the way it is. But what I will do is for my actual navigation area, check this out. I'm going to put padding of 8 pixels top and bottom, 0 pixels left and right. I'm going to put some padding on the nav, which contains all of those anchors. So in addition to padding on the anchor tags, I'm putting padding on the navigation, the block that contains them. It's going to get me some space in there. If I want a little bit more, what about 12 pixels? Yeah, I think I like that because they look almost like they're vertically centered, which probably makes sense. You know, I've got 12 pixels of padding and yeah, that looks good. All right, those are hyperlinks, by the way. They don't go anywhere because they're just href equals hashtag. But that Facebook one, I want to get that over there on the far right. And in order to get that one hyperlink over to the far right, I'm going to use a technique called position. So let's see, I'm going to head over to my code. Now, for the rule for my navigation, I'm going to put in position relative. Now that's not going to do anything for us. Actually, it's doing something. You just won't see what it's doing. So just putting position relative on a container, which is what this is, by the way. My navigation div contains those 5 hyperlinks. But that in and of itself doesn't do anything. However, now what I can do is I can style my 5th hyperlink different than those other hyperlinks. We use a similar technique to what we did before when I wanted to style one of those 3 boxes differently than the other 3 boxes. So what I can do here, now let's find it, there it is. Hashtag navigation, let's scroll this up a little bit, space a colon, I could do nth child number 5, that would work, or I could also do last child, which is the last out of the series. I've got 5 anchor tags in that navigation, and the last one is the 5th one. But if I add a 6th one, then the 6th one will be the last one. So that's a way to make sure I'm always getting that last one. For this one, I'm going to do position absolute semicolon, and then I'm going to do right 0 pixels, top 0 pixels. I'm going to start off with there and we'll just do some fine adjustments. So basically, my last hyperlink should be over towards the right top corner. Let's see. And there it is. So I'm actually pretty content with its default location. So it's actually in a pretty good little spot. Now, if I want to move it further away from the right, then I can play around with this number, this 0 pixels. For instance, if this was 40 pixels, it's going to be further away from the right, pushed out more towards the middle. And if I did negative 40 pixels, it would be even further to the right, starting to spill out of that space. Now, I'm actually kind of happy with 0 pixels, and I think the location there looks pretty good because of the padding. Or remember, I still have a little bit of, where's it at? Where's it at? Right there. Yeah, I still have some 24 pixels of padding on all of my anchors, and that one's still getting impacted. So that looks pretty good there. So then, from the top, I'll just move it downward. Now, to move it downward, use a positive number. Upward would be a negative number. So I'll just try 8 pixels. That looks pretty good. You know, if you've got the laser measurement eyes, you might say, that looks a little too much, Ralph. Maybe 6 pixels was the way to go. Okay, cool. However, my goal here is to have a Facebook logo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go do a quick image search for, actually, let's just go to Google Images. Yeah, I want to do an image search. There's the link. And I'm going to search for Facebook logo file type PNG. Ooh, there's a cute little round one. That's pretty cool. Let me click on this one. I think this is going to work out well for me. Now, I did a file type PNG because that was more likely going to have a transparent background. I see this checkerboard pattern on here, which is usually an indication that it's a transparent background. So I like that. So I'm going to right click on this and save image as, and I'm going to save it to my assignment folder where everything else is going. It's actually got a pretty good file name. It's kind of short. I'm going to change it out to FB. It's still a PNG image format. Don't mess with that image format. In order to change a file type, you need to be in an image editor. So I'm changing mine to FB, but it's still a PNG file. I'm going to save that. And now let's see what we can do next. So I'm going to head back over to my code and my last hyperlink. I'm going to make a couple changes to it here. Where do I want to do this? Let's try this. Display block. I'm converting this anchor tag into a block element. I know I haven't used those terms yet, so just kind of go with me on this one. But divs and headlines, those are block elements. And now I'm changing my anchor tag into a block element, just the last one though, because I want to be able to manipulate it like it's a block element, like it's a rectangle. I'm going to give it a width of 48 pixels and a height of 48 pixels. So it's a little square. Now I'm going to give it a background image with my Facebook PNG. And I'm going going to do background size cover. That's going to be essential because that background image, that image that I got, was 512 pixels in size, and I'm going to be squeezing it into this little 48 pixel box. So this was going to be a pretty essential step here. Now, based on just doing this, I'm curious how things are looking. It's actually probably looking pretty good. If you couldn't see that text, it would look a little bit better. So let me go down to the HTML. And I'm going to just get rid of the little FB. So it's an empty anchor tag. And just doing that, it's going to make it a little bit easier to visualize. You can see that Facebook logo right there. And it's in a pretty good spot, but clearly I need to nudge it back over towards the left. So let's see. So if I can find it, there it is. All right, so instead my 0 pixels to the right is no longer doing well for me. So I'm going to start to play around with that and try 24 pixels from the right. That's cute. It's chopped off a little bit. Now, what's causing that? It may have something to do with just the boundaries of this. Now, whenever some weird stuff happens, I haven't needed to do this yet in this particular video, but sometimes it's nice to be able to see the boundaries of something. So I'm going to put a thin border on here. Border 1 pixel, solid red, so I can really see it. I'm going to put a thin border on this last anchor tag. And now that there's a border on there, it's a lot easier to see what's going on. And I can see, my little rectangle is just not big enough to accommodate that background image, especially the way it's positioned. Now, if my background image was centered, then it would probably be a little bit better, I would think. So let's see. If I went to my background, or my anchor here, and also did a background position center, now that little circle logo is positioned more nicely in that red rectangle. That's looking pretty good. I can get rid of that red border because that was just there so that I could see what was going on. And now it looks pretty nice. So if I look at our directions, maybe 24 pixels is a little bit too far away. So I'm going to move it in 16 pixels. Yeah, I think I can handle that. And it is a hyperlink, by the way. Once again, it doesn't go anywhere. But in theory, you would link to your company's Facebook page, or you could link to your LinkedIn profile page or something. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. And I think we're at a good stopping position. So, yeah, I was thinking about having you do a little bit more text, but if you can get through the navigation, that text there, and putting a little logo over there, that's pretty cool. And any other things that we might do on here, I think would just be icing on the cake. So no need to worry about that stuff. Obviously, they got a little fake logo up there, but I don't want to have to go use too many copyrighted things. So I'm going to call that done. And if you've got this level of the work completed, then I'm satisfied that you've completed this phase of the assignment. So quite happy with that. So then, how do you get this turned into me? Let's close that. You need to zip everything up, okay? So this part is important, all right? And hopefully you've been doing this all along, but all of the files that you've been working with should all be together by themselves in their own folder. So I've got my Facebook logo, my HTML file, and then I've got several other photos all in there in that one CIS 178 Assignment 5 folder. I'm going to right-click on that folder. I'm going to Windows machine, of course. And I'm going to send to, where am I going to do? Do I want to do 7-zip? Nope, I will just do send to compressed zipped folder. And that's going to make a zipped version of that. This zipped one is what you're going to turn in via Blackboard. So just go into Blackboard. I can't show you this part because I don't have the same view as a student. Just go into Blackboard, click on the title of the assignment. I can at least show you that part. So in Blackboard, You'll click on that title right there, and that's going to take you to the page where you can submit your file. Send me your zipped folder. Remember, it's just going to have your web page files in there, just the files that you did for this particular assignment. All right, so hope you had fun with that, and if you're digging web page things, then keep in mind we are going to do a little bit more. My intention for us is to do some experimentation with a website builder, like Wix or Weebly or Squarespace or something. I want to do something where we can all get a free account. Maybe we'll use WordPress, the free WordPress. That could be an option. So we can see another way that a small business might publish a web page. But that's pretty good there. So thanks for hanging out with me again, and take care.